As the only male in the parenting program at the alternative high school, Sam feels that other moms and school administrators display sexist attitudes towards him. Do you think strangers also treat him differently? Do you think he's treated unfairly, or is it all in his head? If the treatment is real, is it justified? Do any other characters in the novel experience sexism? What about ageism?
I think that Sam is a really good dad and he's treated unfairly, and people don't know him, and so they just assume that he's going to be bad. So an example of this is on page 24 when he was going into school and the security guard let Brianna in with her car seat when it buzzed, but he didn't let Sam in. He had to like pat him down and make sure that he wasn't bringing in something that he wasn't supposed to be. And so I don't think that it's justified because he didn't know Sam, and he should give him more credit when he sees him every day.
Yeah, I like that too. And then for ageism on page 186 when they're at the hospital and the doctor kept like looking at his dad, at Sam's dad, when he was like talking to Sam and telling him what to do. I think that one is justified because even though like Sam should be able to like be responsible for him, I think that's like goes good for the doctor to like also just like double check that the dad was also paying attention and it wasn't just like on Sam.
Going along with Carly, I use that example too that he.
Time out. Last time was 20 calories, right?
Yeah.
So it's 25 this time. Don't forget to mention page numbers or specific examples from movies, TV shows, the article, all that stuff. All right. That's how you get those extra points. All right, go.
I use that same example for like how he experiences some sexism, but I also think some of it's just in his head. So I did on page 41 when he was explaining how like the secretaries or people at the school would ask like, how's it going, Sam? Like, going okay, Sam? And I think that he kind of overthinks it because he's under the impression that they don't ask any of the moms there, but I think they probably would ask him that same thing because it's like they're all teenagers and they all have kids, so I think they're just like curious and like want to know how things are going to make sure everything's fine, and it's not just because he's a guy.
I said that I think he is treated differently, but I don't think it's unfair because like if anything, people are just more willing to help him and like make sure he's okay compared to like girls because they think he's like not qualified or something like that.
Going back to what Allie said about it like being in his head, I think it's more like the ageism thing because like when he on page 94 when him and Claire were at the park and the lady selling duck food asked if they were babysitting, like Claire's a girl too, and I think it's mostly like people don't expect people their age to have babies, so I think, and this is shown a lot throughout the book, like people asking or at the Taco Bell at the mall, like when the lady was like, oh, what a beautiful family. Oh, I guess it's
Are you
not.
babysitting?
Are you babysitting or whatever? And then it's like, just because they look like it would be more likely for them to babysit than be their parents.
I think Sam was treated unfairly because kind of like what Will kind of went on about society putting like different emotions and stereotypes towards like teen dads and teen moms. I feel like when people look at Sam, they kind of think like he screwed up and, you know, he shouldn't be in the situation, like it's all his fault, you know? While they look at teen moms, they kind of show a lot more empathy towards them. And this is, I don't think it's, I do think it's justified and I don't think it is. Like the security stopping Sam, I think that is justified because like that's security doing their job, and like Carly was saying, like, even though they might know like that he goes to school there and they see him every day, you know, like that doesn't mean like he can't do something dangerous. And also like putting the stereotype on men are more likely to do something dangerous than women, so that's why they just let the teen mom go through. But then like the whole thing with the counter lady on page 179, I feel like that wasn't justified because I feel like even though he is a teen dad, he has every right to go see Max. I just feel like when it comes to somebody having a kid in like medical type of situations, I feel like everybody should be treated equally, the type of treatment that their kid receives, and then also like, you know, the type of treatment that they get received as the parent.
Prior to this discussion, I thought that Sam's different treatment was not justified because clearly the people around him are basing their statements and opinions off of the stereotype that men aren't qualified to be parents, or they're more prone to cause danger. But I also think some of the different treatment is just in Sam's head. Back on page 41, when he describes how he keeps getting asked, how's it going, he says to himself, I wondered if they asked Gemma or Meredith or Christy, was it just because I was the only guy in the program, or was it me? So again, that's just kind of emphasizing how it's not necessarily sexism, but I think just everyone is just wondering how he's doing, because he's just in a different situation. They're all curious to know what's going on.
Kind of going off that's why I said I don't think he's treated unfairly, just because it's a typical generalization of male fathers. And on page 25, when Meredith and Christy were suggesting reasons why Max might be crying, they were saying like he's probably hungry or sick. And even though Sam just was thinking, or just said right before that, he wants out from his seat. So like he just said the reason why, and they were still suggesting it. So it's a little unfair, but I don't think so.
Personally, I think like being a teen like parent, it's more ageism for Sam and like all the parents, because like people, it's not really the norm to have a kid when you're a teen. And like on page 10, when he's going to get diapers at the grocery store, and then the cashier lady was like, is he your little brother? And he says yes. I just feel like when you're a teen parent, it's kind of hard for people to not like judge you, or like to like look at you a little differently because you're so young and having a kid. So I feel like the ageism was more of a thing for this whole book than the sexism part was.
I agree with that. I feel like the only real example of sexism for him was the whole car seat thing going in through the metal detectors. I feel like there was probably more of a backstory than it just being because he's a dude and she's a girl that she gets to go through. But I definitely don't feel like he was treated unfairly because he's a boy. I feel like that was a lot more in his head, and that was just what he was personally thinking, and he took everything kind of the wrong way, I feel like, and it was a lot more in his head. But for the ageism, I definitely think that is an issue just with everyday life, seeing people so young with babies. I feel like that is just not the norm. So I feel like ageism was definitely a bigger part in this book, for not just Sam, but for all of the Claire too.
I also agree that ageism is a important part, because like Claire also experiences it with like her mom trying to take over the baby on page 98, and they always argue. And Brittany kind of also experienced it because her mom also like took over the child because they thought they weren't fit to mother the babies.
Anyone have any other examples that they want to share?
Yes, Rebecca, just to clarify, so you do think Sam was treated unfairly because of the whole ageism thing? Or?
I don't think he was treated unfairly. I think that he was being looked at differently.
Okay.
But I don't think that there were specific things that like he didn't get that because he was younger. I don't feel like he was really.
So
I don't think it changed anything. I just think it changed like
there are judgments, but
yeah,
they weren't like
exactly.